Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. We are in 2022, and this is Noah and John, and we are from UrbanDigs, and it is Friday. So you're going to get your weekly Manhattan market update. John, let's get right to it. I'm looking at supply. We are well on the four handle, 48.37, going down. Show me that chart.
We are going down, Noah, and we were down last week. We're down this week, and it's really what we've seen since October. Supply is just on the way down.
Yeah, we were talking about this early for those that would listen months ago that this was a supply problem developing. Well, it is maturing in its development. Where do we go from here? I would think that the downward pressure is going to slow down a little bit. We've been kind of just going straight vertical down. That probably will change and slope back a little bit. That's what we're looking for. I haven't seen it yet, John, but we're looking for it. Let's move on to demand, pending sales, 43.61. That's hanging tight. Johnny, show me that chart.
It's hanging tight, Noah, and it's interesting because when you look at what pending sales typically does into the new year, I mean, you can't really look at last year because last year was, of course, a little bit crazy, but usually it's sort of, ticking down. It's sort of going sideways to down, and here we're kind of going sideways to up. So yeah, there still remains a lot of buy-side pressure out there.
Yeah, that in and of itself is a signal of some sorts, and it's just indicative of the strength, the sustained level of contract activity that we are seeing as supply goes down. It's quite incredible to see. And if you add those two things together, you got supply, you got pending sales, equals the market pulse. And that's why this market pulse is going up. And I just want to show everybody here, when I look at this chart, take a look, Johnny, at where we are. We are now higher than where we were in the summer. Okay. And that's not so much a function of the fact that prices are going up. That's not what this is. This is liquidity. It's more of a function of the fact that pending sales, as you said, is staying mixed up and supply is going straight down. So it's really like an inventory driven move up in pulse. And I would expect that to top out soon and start to come down the other way. That's my interpretation of that, Johnny. Let's move on to the weekly, see if there's any information there. I'm looking at supply 1 week, 296. Show me that chart.
Yeah, so 296, and if there's anything that's going to help push that market pulse down, it's a return of supply, and especially as the market sort of returns to seasonality here and we start seeing listings come in. 296 is a little bit on the low side for what you would expect in the heavy listing month, but to start off January, 296 is not bad. That's actually about 7% higher than what we saw last year, which was, you're kind of getting into the thick of it already. So it looks like we could see another wave of listings on the heavy side, possibly, if this is any indication of what's to come.
Yeah, I would agree with that, John. That's a very interesting comment. I think it's a little early for this. We kind of would have expected it a few weeks ago. Maybe sellers are listening. They're bringing the stuff on the market, and that's what you got to do right now. That is a good sign. Again, you're going to see it. You're going to see this number go right up to 300, 400, 500, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to watch it, and we're looking for that net deficit to turn to a net increase. We'll keep an eye on that, Johnny. Let's look at contract signed, 195. Considering the time of year, that's still very good. Show me that chart.
It's not bad at all, right? 195 really for the first week of the year. It's about 1% higher than it was at this time last year. So, if we're taking these early looks, it looks like January sort of is defined by a little bit heavier supply than contract signs. But look, all in all, no, 100, 200 contract signs the first week of the year is an interesting start. So I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what the rest of January brings here.
Yeah, because first the stuff comes on, then the stuff goes into contract at a lag. And if that stuff is going to contract quicker before we're thinking, then that supply is going to get absorbed quicker as well. We'll see. We're very, very early in this process here. So this is it. The data is going to tell us a lot over the next 4, 5, 6 weeks. So we will report on it, Johnny. Let's go outside UrbanDigs and let's take a look at the chart du jour. Johnny, could you please explain this gorgeous chart to our users?
Yeah, so I mean, basically what you just said a second ago was first the stuff comes on, then stuff goes off. And so usually what happens is, you get the supply, and then the demand comes and removes most of that supply. Well, throughout 2020, we had a deluge of supply, and then where were the buyers? Well, the buyers couldn't come because we had COVID. So a lot of talk in 2020, 2021 was there's this pent up demand. So we tried to quantify that pent up demand. And what we did know is there's essentially built like a 5-year moving average and then compared what actually transpired in those months and compared it to that average to kind of get a sense of, all right, are we above or below that average? And that makes kind of a number for what demand might be. And each of these lines represents one increasing month of that surplus or the fact if surplus, if it's a deficit, that's red. So
Right.
basically, we're trying to get a sense of how long do these surpluses or deficits last, and that's why you see these numbers increasing, these triangle flags going up, then coming back down, and you can see that far right, 2021. It's been what, 15 months or so of a surplus in demand, as with contract signs have been running higher than average for the last 15 months. And going back to 2012, that's 10 years. That's the longest streak we've had. So my quick takeaway from this is it seems like we're a little bit overbought here. And I'm not saying the market can't continue to go up. I'm simply saying that the number of contract signs seems a little bit ahead of where it should be, once you balance everything out.
Yeah, and I would agree that. I think that we have a liquidity sell signal going on over here. I think we're a little overbought. This is interesting in a number of ways. Number one, I think it is a liquidity sell signal. All right, for any sellers out there, your sell side competition is low. Your demand is very, very high. Your sell side competition is going to increase as the listing season goes on. So that's going to go against you. So if you're a buyer right now, it's possible that this is peaking out, as you said, kind of right around here. But what's interesting, John, about this, because this is not price action, this is just liquidity, and it shows you the recovery that we've had, is we've been talking a lot about the macro setup of this market and where we are, right? And we put forth the argument that we are somewhere around 11 and 12 or something around that in terms of price action, looking ahead, I think that there's going to be a 3, 4, 5 year nice reflationary period, and we're in the early stages of it. And when I look at this as a whole, okay, let me just delete this and go here. When I look at this as a whole right over here, it reminds me of this pattern right here, which of course is 12 and 13 before the 14 and build up to 15 peak. So I don't know if that's a pattern correlation worth noting and if I'm interpreting this correctly or not, but it's certainly interesting enough and it fits the narrative of what we've been talking about, John, here, that we've only had one initial wave up cycle. We've had a fade and fall, and now it looks like we're having the early stages of another wave up cycle. So that's what I see over here. I just want to move, John, real quick to negotiability at the time of the deal. Everyone loves this. Where is negotiability and listing discount? And here is that trend. And John, I just want to point out really quickly for our users here, this is that brief window that I think buyers had in September and into early October. You could see it right there. But that window shut very quickly. And the latest preliminary readings, this is contract signed in October. All right, buyers that signed deals in October, they closed and Acris has filed them. I think there's like 230 of them. So there's enough to put a preliminary reading out there, but that's probably 30% complete, 35% complete. So it's gonna have another 300-400 sales in it as time goes on. So I don't know where that number is gonna end, but I want you guys to see the early data is a tight market right there. And look how low that negotiability is.
Yeah, and if I'm going to put 2 and 2 together, Noah, what I'm going to say is that if you take this negotiability chart and you backtrack to the chart we just saw, there may be a window of opportunity opening. And I'm not saying this has anything to do with prices. This to me is more about negotiability. If we do see a wave of heavy listings hit in January, February, and at the same time we kind of see that surplus number come back to normal, buyers might actually have a chance. And I'm not saying they have a chance to really negotiate hard, but they actually might have some choice for the time being.
I think it's early.
It's still early.
And
I still think they're going to be paying, 97% of the original asking price, but at least they can pick from 2 listings instead of 1. So that's at least something.
Yeah. And I think that thing that you just described is probably a month away, a month or a month and a half away or something like that, because I'm wondering where bids are getting accepted right now. We don't have that information. I guess brokers can tell us where are the bids having. This is the closest information I got. And as John said, it's a couple of months lagging. So very good point, John. Thank you very much for bringing that up. John, this is excellent data. Thank you so much to start the new year in a wonderful way. That is John Walkup. I am Noah Rosenblatt. We are both from UrbanDigs. Don't forget, guys, you got questions, we got answers. Just go right over here in our forum. If you want to see any of the charts and reports from today's session, just click on these buttons right over here. Other than that, I wish you a very wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you next time.